A lever exercise is a great tool to help veterans and anybody who's transitioning from one job to another to really identify what are the most important factors that influence where they want to work, the kind of work they want to do, so that they can be happier and more successful in the next phase of life. And this is something that I really encourage you to do. First of all, what's a lever? So if you remember back in the old Frankenstein movies from the 1930s, they had all these levers up in the wall, and they're moving them up and down from, on to medium to low. Well, that same concept of a lever applies where it might be something where something is very important to you, the lever is in the high position. And then something that is not quite as important to you might be in the medium position. And then something that's still on your list but not quite as important might be in the lower position on the lever. That's why I call it a lever exercise. Now, every lever is going to have two attributes to it. The first is going to be a name. So for example, let me give you some names of some levers. It could be compensation or salary. It could be location of where I'm going to work. It could be kind of work. It could be commute time. It could be vacation time. It could be medical benefits. In other words, a lever has to have a name to it about something that is important to you. It could be how close am I to my parents for daycare for my kids or something, or how close am I to where my significant other lives? Who knows, whatever it might be. But all of these levers, and I encourage you to come up with between 10 to 15 of them. I want you to brainstorm all the ideas of levers, factors that are important to you. And sometimes we assume them. For example, location. We might assume, well, I'm going to stay right here. Don't assume that, especially whether you're single or you're working with someone else, a spouse or something. Don't make any assumptions. Write down living location as something that's a lever. So I want you to brainstorm right now, write down on your paper at least 10, and then after this session, reflect on it a little bit and even add more to it by asking your spouse or significant other, or perhaps your parents or friends, what factors were important for them in their next phase of life. So again, giving you some examples specifically. Where do you want to work? That's one title. How much money do you want to make? A range, not exact amount, but a range. I want to earn between $50,000 and $60,000 or whatever number. Or I want to earn $25 to $40 an hour, whatever. It's going to be, how long am I willing to commute? Is there flexibility for working from home? I want to work from home all the time. It could be, where do I not want to live? I don't want to live in any major city, or I don't want to live not in a major city, or I want to live only in the South or only in the North. It could be vacation time. Notice these are all titles, names, labels of a lever. Medical care. Or maybe if you have children that require special needs, or you have parents that require special help, proximity to parents, because I have to help take care of them, not the fact they're going to help take care of me or my kids. So you come up with this list of levers. So that's like the first thing, was a label for each lever. That's step one. Step two is you then have to decide what is right for you for each lever for your target. Let me give an example. Compensation. The title of the lever is compensation. The description is, the range would be, I want to make between $50,000 and $60,000 a year. So you have the label and you have the description of what's right for you. It can't be, I want to make $1 gazillion. It's got to be something realistic, of course. Location. I want to live only in this town. Or, I'm sorry, the label is location, work location. And the description is only in where I am right now. Or it could be, I'd like to live in the South, or in Arkansas, or Montana, fill in the blank. But wherever you want to live, it's over here. Another one could be vacation time. That's the title. And you say, I need at least 3 weeks. Because remember, by the way, we had 30 days of leave in the military. You're not going to see that again for a long time. It's usually 10 days of paid vacation, which means 2 weeks of leave, or PTO, personal time off. But I just want you to think that through. I need 2 weeks, or I need 3 weeks, or I need 2 to 4 weeks. That's the descriptor. Medical care. That could be the title, the lever, medical care. And then over here you say, I just want to make sure the company pays my medical care. Or I have a very small payment to go to the doctor if I need to go, or for my kids or something. So when you come up with these 10 or more, you have to come up with 10 or more. The most I ever had, one person came up with 42. They were crazy. Okay, but between this person and their spouse, they came up with 42. Way too many, but that's okay. I would estimate 10 to 15. Now, once you come up with them, you're going to assign the weight. How important is this to you? That's the third factor. Remember, the first factor is the label. The second factor is the description of what's right for you. What are you looking for? The third factor is how important is it to you? So, for example, if it's really, really, really important, you say high. You jam that lever into the high. It's very important. If it's not as important as high, but it's like medium value to you, you label it medium. And then if it's important but not quite as important as the other two, you put it down the low lever. Now, to prevent you from cheating and put everything on the high, you have to take your total number of levers. Let's make it easy, 15. You come up with 15 levers. You have to divide that number by 3. So that means you have 5, 5, and 5. That means you have to have 5 high, no more, 5 medium, and 5 low. And you say, Randy, I can't do that. 10 of these are really high. No. Actually, that's not true. If they're all high, decide what are the most significant and label them high. So you'll come up with 5 in the top group, 5 in the middle group, and 5 in the bottom group. Now, if it's an uneven number, like you have 14 items, you can cheat and put 1 or 2, in the other groups if you want. It's okay. We're not trying to make it perfect, but we are trying to make you to force it into 3 groups, to force you to decide what is really important for you as you go forth and you look at new opportunities. You'd be shocked, especially if you have a spouse, how many times a person is going after the job hunt, and I'll talk to the spouse and say, so what is your spouse looking for? And where are they looking? I have no idea. You have no idea? What do you mean you don't have any idea? It's supposed to be a joint effort. Even though they're looking, they need to include you in the process so that they don't all of a sudden walk up and say, honey, I got this great job. We're moving 800 miles away and we're going next week. Wait, what are we doing? Wait, what? So the point is, the lever exercise, you do, if you have a spouse, you do it first. You have them sit down and listen to this episode, and then they do it on their own. Do not compare notes. Then what you do is, if you drink beer or wine, you get that beer or wine, and you make sure the kids aren't bothering you too much. If you have kids, and you exchange your pieces of paper, and you have a discussion about, oh my goodness, I didn't know that was important to you. I didn't even come up with that lever. Because they might come up with different levers than you come up with. And then you come to an understanding. Remember, you're not trying to force anybody to agree with you. You're coming up with an understanding about what is important to you together. And guess what? If you guys are synchronized, then you're going to be more synchronized in the job search as well. And it helps bring you both closer together. So if you're single, do this with a friend who knows you. Do it with a parent who knows you. Do it with someone else and say, look, if you were me, what do you think would be important to me? Have them listen to this episode to explain the process for those few minutes. And then you two can sit down and talk about it. So you don't have to have a significant other to do this exercise. I want to make sure to emphasize that. But if you do have a significant other or spouse, you must do it with him or her. Okay, so please do this. It'll be amazing what you guys will learn.